Hello and welcome to the Life at Leyton podcast with me, Sarah Glanville, as your host. Here at Leyton UK, we know our people are more than just their job. The careers of our people are part of their unique lives, and who they are as a whole person is what fundamentally contributes to their success and the success of our business. In the podcast, we'll spend time with one of our exceptional people from across the business. And in each episode, we'll look to explore the people behind the job titles, the unique and brilliant stories that make them who they are. In episode 10, I had a lovely chat with Jeffry Eden, one of our business development managers in Manchester. Jeffry and his family moved to the UK at the beginning of the year after he was awarded a global talent visa for exceptional talent by the British government. In today's episode, we discuss Jeffry's journey to join us here at Leyton UK and explore why he chose to work for us and his thoughts on diversity in the workplace. Thank you, Jeffry, for sharing your perspective and insights. This conversation celebrates the effect we can have as an employer when we value people's differences and give them the space to truly be themselves. So thank you for tuning in. Grab yourself a coffee and get ready to be inspired by the people that are Leyton UK. Hello, Jeffry. Welcome to episode 10 of the Life at Leyton podcast. Thank you for agreeing to chat with me. How are you today?
I'm very fine. It's a great weather at Manchester today, so it's good.
Good, that's nice. I'm coming down to Manchester next week, so hopefully the weather's still nice when I come and visit you guys next week.
I'm sure it would be.
Fingers crossed. We've got a lot to cover today. You've been on quite a journey to join us here at Leyton UK. So do you want to start off today by talking us through your background and life before moving to the UK?
So my career before Leyton was predominantly in the African market, working out of Nigeria, West Africa. For the last 15 years plus, I've always been in sales and business development. That's been my career. Well, I have also worked in 4 major industries. That would be hospitality, retail, consulting, and then, of course, recently, financial technology known as fintech. However, the interesting part of my work is that it takes me around the world. So I get to travel a lot. I've been to about 21 countries across the world, meeting great people and experiencing great culture. So that's been my life before the UK.
Amazing. That's incredible. So living in Nigeria,
Yes,
is,
absolutely.
is that where you were born?
Yes, my life has always been in Nigeria with the
Amazing.
family.
Yeah, for sure. So what brought you from Nigeria to the UK at the start of this year?
Well, that's a good question. Like every professional that has built a consistent career, especially in a certain specialized field, you always want more. You want to test your knowledge, you want to test your experience, you want to apply your skills in a more global context. And so, having done a lot in the fintech space over the last 12 years, building that financial services capacity across Africa, I got awarded a global talent visa for exceptional talent by the British government through an endorsement body. And that gave me the opportunity to come to the UK and contribute to the growth of the digital economy right here.
Fantastic. And we're glad to have you. That's an incredible achievement. So how have you and the family found the move here? I can imagine that it's a big change for, is it it's 2 girls you've got, right?
Yes, a boy
Yeah.
and 2 girls.
Oh, boy and 2 girls, sorry. So how has it been for the family to move here?
To be honest, it's mixed feelings. The anxiety at the same time, excitement. If I look back before we came, we've built a very comfortable life back home in Nigeria. We've got family and friends that we love and enjoy to spend time with, right? To leave all of that behind and move to the UK was a big move for us. But I think what made it much easier for us is that we talk a lot as a family. It wasn't a spontaneous move. We discussed it, we planned for it. We understood the changes that we may experience and how we would deal with it, like weather. We always had sunny days all year. Culture, of course, having to build new friendship and leaving old ones behind and all of that. So the family was prepared for that. But sadly, we picked a time that was cold to come here. So we came in at winter, and oh my God, it was so cold. The kids had to be indoors for weeks. They were restless.
Mm.
But when school started, it brought some very joyful days for them. And now we have summer. We've made new friends. We're beginning to settle in just fine here in the UK.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a lot to take on as adults. Like you understand the reason why you're making these decisions to move, and it makes lots of sense. But it's a huge change for your kids, but it's great to hear that they've settled in well, and I'm sure that they've got lots of friends at school now, and it's something that's really positive for them to be here.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
Brilliant. So what's attracted you to working for Leyton UK after making such a big move? I
Mhm.
think picking the role here that you want to take on as a big decision. So, what attracted you to work for Leyton UK?
So Jeffrey as a person is very structured when it comes to life, when it comes to work. I thrive when things are clear and well defined. But that is what Leighton does so well. You walk in through the office, the structure of the work environment, the kind of people that you meet, the kind of work that they do. You could tell that this is a very defined place to work, well structured. Everyone knows what they want to do and how to do it and got the right tools. And when I came in for the interview, I met Jake and Kyle. It was an amazing experience talking to them when I came, and they just made it feel like I was already here, in that conversation. And I like that warmth and that attention. HR was always calling me, "Did you find the building? Are you safe? Are you all right?" And that for me was the right kind of cultural experience. And I mean, 6 months down the line, it still feels the same way. So there wasn't a pretense. It was the way things are at Leighton, structured. And then you kind of enjoy working with people because everyone is friendly and nice and want to chip in. And professionally, when I was moving to the UK, I was very certain around the kind of brand I wanted to work for. And Leighton is in 16 countries, selling to multiple industries. I mean, what better brand do you want to kickstart your career in the UK? Yeah. So this provide for me more like a breadth of scope to express my skills, my experience, being a sales and business development professional. If I sell to one industry, I can switch to another industry. So I'm never bored. I've got so much scope to work with at Leighton, and I really like that.
Brilliant. Do you want to come and do all my candidate calls, Jeffrey? Because you've sold Leighton perfectly to anyone who's looking for a job there. No, I think it's something that's really important to us, is to make sure that people feel valued through the recruitment process. It's something that is part of the recruitment team, the talent acquisition team. We work really hard to show what it really is like here at Leighton. So I love that you had a really positive experience coming through that journey, and that was a big reason of why you chose to be here, was the positive experience that you had, and then you feel like it's been a true representation of what life at Leighton has been really like here for you. It's
Mhm.
great.
Thank you.
So lots to change for you since you came into the UK and started at Leighton. Do you feel like Leighton UK has supported you to transition into life in the UK?
Yes, yes, they have. I would say a big yes to that. I mean, I get to work from home sometimes. You get a car allowance I mean, that just allows and support your mobility, especially if you're new to the UK as well. Let me tell you one big thing that I like, the reward program from Leighton. Sometimes you come to a new country, you don't know a lot of brands, you don't know where to buy things, you don't know who the suppliers of anything. When you go on Leighton Reward, you've got a lot of things
Yeah.
to pick up there, and then you get to know brands and what they do and what you can get from them, and you get that latent support to get what you want at a more discounted rate. And that for me is a huge support for somebody who's coming into the country for the first time. And I've always been the kind of person that my happy space is spending time with my family. When you work for a brand that respects your time, You get to close when you get to close. You get to spend your weekend not worried that somebody's going to pick up the phone and bother you. Uh, that's a great environment to work because you do your best 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and you get to spend more time with your family over the weekend. And that's great. So I'm going to share one experience as well with you.
Please.
So I've got some colleagues, Sammy T, Abid, Postle, Steve. Every time I come to work on Monday, they'll be like, Jeffrey, what did you do this weekend? And then they would recommend places and activities and events that I could take the family to. So I'm never spoiled for choice what to do over the weekend because there's a lot to do in England if you know where to look or where to go to.
Yeah, I love all of that. And I think you've highlighted a few ways that I didn't even think that we could have supported you there, but that's brilliant. You're so right with the reward gateway, and I think actually quite a few of our colleagues don't even realize how great that is.
Mhm.
But it's brilliant that you've been using that because, as you say, there's some brilliant discounts on there. It's a huge benefit that we have invested in for our colleagues. And I love that the team are suggesting things for you to do. That's
Mhm.
brilliant. I'm sure
Yep.
that the kids are making the most of all that weekend activities that you guys are getting up to.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
What is it like working for Leighton as someone who comes from a very different background and life experience to your peers around you?
Mm, uh, I didn't think that my first work experience in the UK would be this easy and seamless, to be honest. I'd prepared my mind for the challenges that would come from finding a new job in a new environment, in a new market. But if I look back when I resumed, I think leadership played a big role in my experience at Leighton. When you have a line manager who says to you, Jeffrey, you have the talent, you've got the experience. I think you should just do what works for you. Maximize the strength and the experiences that you have, right? Don't try to be like everyone else or try to want to struggle to fit in. Whatever works for you. I mean, just go in there and express yourself. To be honest, that was one of the biggest advice or um, uh, condition that Postle created for me when I joined the team, and that just made me thrive because I just did what works for me, at the same time aligning with Leighton's objective and just achieving the results, you know. And when I look back at the team, everyone on the team have their different skill set. It's like a bouquet of flower. It's different colors makes it really nice than it just being yellow or pink or green, and that just makes working here really great. And then if you look at my past experience, I have worked for two multinationals as well, and Leighton does fit the structure of such kind of work environment. And you find that in such environment, things are more structured in the way you do things, right? So it was easy for me to fit in into Leighton because Leighton is also structured like that.
Yeah.
Every department has their scope of work. All the hands off are well managed. Every team understands how their role and what they do fit into other people and how they support each other. I mean, sometimes I get things to do and people from different regions pitch in without even knowing me or having met me before, and that just makes the work easier and then, of course, faster for us to do. However, I did have some challenges. It's not like everything was great. uh, and I think the difficult part is if you've sold in a different region for more than a decade and they take you and put you in a different region, what you find is that the Europe or UK's buying psychology is very different from an African person's buying psychology. And as a professional salesperson, the journey to understanding that psychology is very important so that you can succeed in engaging and selling. And I think I'm still on that journey, but because I work with one of the best teams at Leighton, they are so willing to want to help. They give me tips, they include me in their meetings. And after work, oh my God, I'm sure I know all the restaurants and pub around workplace because we always celebrate milestone achievement as a team. And that vulnerability makes it easy for me to fit in quite faster and to build my success based on all the different support from my teammates at Leighton.
That was a perfect answer, Jeffrey. Like, that's such a great answer. I'm so glad that we've been able to have that effect on you, and to be able to value your experience and your difference and your diversity, and also be able to give you support to fill the gaps where they are. But I'm
Hmm.
sure that your team also gets so much from your experience and your background because it is different, and they're able to learn from you as well, which is the beauty of having a diverse team and why diverse teams are more successful. It's a well-known fact that diversity breeds success, for that very reason. Um, so, what do you feel we could actually do better at Leighton to encourage diversity in our teams?
Mm. I, you know what, Sarah? I think you guys have sorted that already. I don't think there's any space. I mean, if you look around the office, you've got diverse culture, you've got diverse background, you've got diverse preferences, you've got diverse people. Oh, come on, man. What else do you want to do? Oh, I mean, we could do one thing though. I mean, just thinking about it, we could have like a culture day, you know, and where you either dress like the culture of your colleague, or you experience the food of of a different culture, or just do events or knowledge share of those culture, so that the culture day brings out the rich diversity of that culture, and people can get to understand where Jeffrey is from, or where Susie is from, and
Yeah.
why this culture is different, but at the same time interesting to get to know. So I think that would be one area that, I mean, Leighton can maybe encourage more diversity by introducing that culture day in the calendar.
I would love a culture day. I'm a huge foodie. I would love to eat food from all the different cultures that we have here at Leighton. I do think you're right in what you've said. We do make an effort to um, promote a diverse workplace, and working in the talent acquisition teams. We are passionate about bringing as many different sorts of people to Leighton, and in all the forms that that looks like. But I do think I agree with you. I think we can do more to highlight how diverse we actually already are, and a culture day is a fantastic way to do that. And bringing in something from your culture, and sharing your story and sharing your food, your experience. I would love that. That would be a fantastic idea. I think you should run with that, Jeffrey. I think you should do it. You
Well, I
should you
mean,
should create
we should
it.
have a committee built and with different diverse people coming there, and we could plan it, and it could be like a part of the Leighton calendar every
Yeah.
quarter where we celebrate different cultures.
Yes, that is actually something that I hope we will have in the future as a diversity council or committee, that we can share ideas like that, because I think it would be a fantastic way to move us forward. Um,
Absolutely.
so this question again is, I think I'm maybe getting a picture of what your answer might be actually, but I feel like it's important to ask you. So a big part of diversity and inclusivity, and creating equitable opportunities within Leighton, is also making sure that people feel like they belong, because it takes all of those things to encourage belonging. So, do you feel like you belong at Leighton UK?
Yes, of course. You probably expected me to say that after all I've said, but
Yeah.
I think to go deeper into that, for it's a very interesting question to ask, because people can be successful in a company, but they don't feel a part of the company, right? So what makes me feel like a part of the company is because I have a company that recognize me as an individual contributor to the effort of the company, right? And when plannings are going on, I'm consulted, even being a new uh, uh, member of the team, and that's important because it means that Postle and the team appreciates what I bring to the team to be involved in that kind of broad planning for the financial year or for the quarter, for anything like that. And I remember when I brought up an idea that I thought that maybe will not be appreciated, and I got told to just do what you want to do, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
I mean, just go and express yourself. Just do it. What do you need? Do you want an hotel? Do you want a transport? What number of people do you want? Do you want materials? I got calls from London, trying to get materials for me to use. I've got people in Edinburgh calling me and saying, do you need any digit? It was just everyone trying to pitch in to support a new idea. How much more can you feel welcome in a place? Of course, you are definitely a part of that team if people treat you like that. Yeah. And when certain milestones are achieved, people rally around to celebrate that with you and never forget, and that just makes you feel warm being a part of that whole Leyton UK experience.
Fantastic. I'm so glad that you feel like that here. We do value you. We do want you here, and we're so glad that you're part of the team, Jeffrey. Um, my next question, I guess, is zooming back out and away from Leyton specifically, and it's looking at your experience, obviously, as someone who's moved their life to the UK. But what's, from your perspective, are additional challenges that people face moving their life to the UK and finding work?
Mm. Well, I probably would have a lot to say around that one.
Yeah,
But I would tell you three things out of that. So the first
yeah,
is most times when you've built a certain pedigree in a market and you feel that you could walk into any establishment as a salesperson and you would close that sale because of the competencies that you have. When you switch the culture and you switch the people and you switch the market and you switch the region, you need to realize that you might not succeed as quickly as you thought. You need time. Some people don't plan to give themselves that time to settle in, and then so they get desperate or depressed, or they feel that they can never succeed in that kind of place. And some give up early while others just go through the motion and really succeed. And I think anyone coming into a new place to work need to give themselves time to settle in. And if they've got a great team and a great manager, that would be a great incentive for them to just, blend in at their pace. Another is that there is what is called the territory knowledge. You might have the competencies, but the territory knowledge is also important. And for anyone trying to come into a new place, plan ahead. Don't assume. Don't take things for granted. Where do you want to live? Where do you want to work? How do you want to move around? What kind of company do you want to work for? What kind of products do you want to be associated with as a salesperson? All of this you need to plan when you decide to want to come to a new region or like the UK. And then, of course, finally, when you go for interviews, you cannot go to interviews as you would previously. You need to understand that the new culture and the new people, the way they interpret skill set, languages, lingual, and all those things within the context of the industry you're trying to interview would be different from where you're coming from. So understand the culture, go out there and experience it because it does influence the way you go to interviews and prepare for interviews as well. And that would definitely make your transition a lot easier when you start to find jobs here in the UK.
That's some fantastic advice. I think that people will get a lot from that. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your thoughts on that there. Thank you so much for just joining me for today's episode. It's been a really lovely chat. Do you have anything else that you wanted to mention before we sign off?
Well, that's all. When are we starting the culture day?
I know. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's work together. We'll try and make that happen. I would love that. I think that's a really good idea. Um, thank you so much
No,
for taking part.
I should thank you for giving me the opportunity to express myself. It's really nice to be a part of the podcast, and I've been enjoying all the other episodes. So I'm happy to be featured in there. And the team they can't wait to hear what Jeffrey had to say. So
I know, I've been looking forward to this as well. No, I think it's an amazing thing that we can invest a little bit of time in is to speak to our people and find out more about everyone because like you've highlighted today, we're all so different and we've all got such different backgrounds and different experiences, and the podcast is an opportunity for us to highlight that and to showcase why, so many different people, when we work together, we can achieve something great. So it's been lovely having you on.
Very
And
true. Thank you.
and thank you to everyone who is listening along at home. I hope you all enjoyed that as much as we both did having that chat. So we're going to be
Yes.
back in 2 weeks' time with our 11th episode. But until then, if you're one of the members in our talent community and you're interested in finding out more about what the future might look like at Leyton, please reach out to one of us here in the talent acquisition team. I'll put my contact details in the description below, or check out our careers page for the roles that we have live currently. We'll be back in a few weeks. Thanks again, Jeffrey, for sharing your story. Thank you all for listening in. This has been episode 10 of the Life at Leyton podcast.